that temperature real quick.
96.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, bet. Yeah, come closer. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see. Right there. Damn, you got a high fever.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. What does it say?
My phone ringing and shit too. $14.99. Wait, shit, it's actually the pricing gun.
You know what?
My bad.
I'm done.
Do you see what happens when you give someone too much power? This should be a very important lesson for government, especially right now. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Lukadowski of WeAreChange.org. A lot of important issues to get into while we still can. Mainly because we are going through a major political transformation that is happening right now in the United States, especially after the Georgia elections and certifications of this year's presidential election. A lot to get into. Our main focus for this video will, of course, be the extreme abuse of power and authority in the United Kingdom. You can't even imagine what they're thinking about doing next there. But before we get into that, of course, we have to cover all the latest events that are happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Saying that comes to mind right now is, quote, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen, and I truly believe this is the time that we are in right now. And as we're speaking right now, hundreds of thousands of Donald Trump supporters have gathered in Washington, D.C. for a speech by U.S. President Donald Trump that essentially much said that everything is in Mike Pence's hands, which, being honest here, is not really a strong hand, and many people are criticizing it as a very weak hand, as of course Mike Pence has just issued a statement saying that he will, of course, will not be ruling in Donald Trump's favor when he certifies the election for Joe Biden. This is happening right now. We are getting reports of scrambles happening right now, fights between Donald Trump supporters and police officers, as allegedly Donald Trump supporters have already breached 4 layers of security fencing and are trying to occupy the Capitol building. What will this lead to? What will happen here? We're going to be seeing in just a few moments. All of this is on the heels of yet another major election where there is a lot of mistrust. Specifically, the Georgia Senate election that stopped the counting when there was 1% of the vote left. People are saying that there was yet another massive spike during the late hours of counting and voting. Ted Cruz is launching an effort to audit this election, as of course both Democratic Senate candidates have declared victory. And with that, it would mean a Democratic majority in the Congress, in the Senate, also in the executive office, would provide the Democrats with unlimited power to do whatever they want with very little to non-existent resistance. Yeah, we're talking about a government fully in control of the Democrats. Very scary reality to, of course, right-wingers. Of course, they won't be able to resist any of the policies that these people want to put forward, and they will be essentially steamrolled. And even potentially, according to some analysts, never win an election again, especially if the Democrats decide to make Puerto Rico, Washington, D.C., and Guam states. They, of course, plan to pack the House and the Supreme Court. They plan on getting rid of the Electoral College. They could essentially do all of those things, and it would ensure that they could have unlimited power for an unlimited amount of time. And that's a pretty big probability here, as, of course, you've seen in the beginning of this video, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Giving this much power to one political organization is not good, and I would be saying the same things if this was also the Republicans. It's, of course, any power that can't be checked is extremely dangerous, as we're learning that in the United Kingdom, which we're going to get into in just a little bit. Of course, I will be making future videos about the bigger Democratic Party plans that will, of course, have a severe effect on you all on this channel, which, let's just be honest here, We've been calling it right on the money for a very long time. Close to 15 years right now. An effort, of course, that has been mainly spearheaded by you and your support to keep us here against all of the odds. I can't tell you how many times there was very dark, hard moments doing this that almost made me completely give up. But I am still here, and of course, that is mainly because of you and your support, not only sharing this video, but supporting us directly on wearechange.org/donate. You could support us in many ways. A very simple one is just $5 a month. Of course, I have all the cryptocurrencies available for you, Venmo, Cash App, even ways to support us with no money at all, as well as physical mail, whatever it is. All the ways to support us are on wearechange.org/donate. Click on the link right now, go to the website, and see the many ways that you could be a part of this independent media organization. Beginning off today, I think Thomas Swalwell really hit the nail on the head with his post saying, quote, "Some Americans will never appreciate America until after they have helped destroy it, and then begun to suffer the consequences." Someone also posted a very funny meme underneath, which is also, in my opinion, fairly accurate, especially as a Polish man whose family has warned and suffered the consequences of left-wing policies that were left unchecked. Don't know what I'm talking about. We're talking about communism here in the USSR that was implemented in Poland when, of course, the government had unlimited, unchecked powers. They abused and set up a totalitarian police state, all in the guise of helping out the working poor people. Now, understanding that, and that very important history, you should be a little bit scared to find out what's going on in the United Kingdom, where essentially almost everyone has been put on house arrest. Now, I'll tell you why this is scary in just a little bit, but the government there is granting themselves more power over the citizenry with even the abilities to stop any person for no reason at all and to inspect if they had a, quote, good reason to leave home. If they didn't, they could be fined or thrown in jail. If you don't wear a mask, you will also face a heavy fine or jail. Now, police officers are trying to grant themselves power to literally break into people's homes that are, quote, allegedly breaking lockdown rules. This is total Orwellian, dystopian police state nightmare scenarios unfolding right now in the United Kingdom, with police officers essentially being able to do whatever they please with you at any moment. And when police officers could stop you without probable cause, when they could just enter your home, they tell you when you can and cannot leave your home, that essentially is another word for a prison. People expressing their right to protest are automatically being handcuffed and shipped away to jail where they are not social distancing, all because they weren't social distancing in the first place. Again, a lot of these rules are absolutely nonsense. They're hypocritical. They're duplicitous. Do very little to actually help with the current situation that we're in. I'm sorry, sending a whole bunch of people to jail, stealing money from people that already are having a very hard time to make ends meet, doesn't help anyone in this exact situation. You would think maybe if you had a caring or loving government, if the official story they were pushing was true, they would build more ICU units. They would build more hospitals. They would make sure that their infrastructure that they keep screaming about would actually be there, which they had time to actually prepare and put, but they didn't. In the face of all of this, creating more human suffering on the face of this earth, these police officers and governments are even vowing to get tougher from here. The picture that you're seeing right now, this is the future. This is what happens when left-wing government officials go unchecked and are not held accountable for their grotesque abuse of authority. How is this helping people? They're arresting people, doing everyday actions, being in a park. This is absolutely insane. It will only continue to get insane as, of course, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah, and there's a reason we started off the video like we did today, because this is the perfect analogy of what's happening right now on a greater scale with more pain and suffering. Whenever there's a tragedy, there's always a government taking advantage of it, trying to empower themselves to have more rights, more emergency laws and powers, which of course they never give back, they never relinquish, they never stop having. What makes you think that this time things will be different with this national emergency? And they won't. Already in the United States, intelligence agencies are using very privacy-violating technological advancements like the Stingray technology that, of course, exploits metadata of innocent bystanders' phones in order to track, trace, and database a target's phone. Your data being used to find someone without any kind of oversight is already happening here in the United States. In Singapore, they are using the databases of their track, trace, contact tracing data system, of course, help police officers, quote, fight crime. Yes, police officers in Singapore are privy to, of course, all the data being collected all in the name of contact tracing, and you would be foolish to think that this is not happening in the United States or other countries. Of course, are going on the Chinese model, which is the model that the Democratic Party is very heavily connected to. Same Chinese government that is still blocking the World Health Organization from studying the origins of the sickness going around. I believe this is their third attempt where the World Health Organization gets slapped around and thrown away. As of course, finding out the origin of this sickness would help us deal with it. But the Chinese government is not even allowing people to study, investigate, or understand where it came from, hurting us in indescribable ways. Again, the insanity continues as, of course, China is saber-rattling, preparing their military. As we're speaking right now, as they're arresting not just Hong Kong lawyers that represented protesters in that territory, who are now trying to escape by speedboat, but the draconian Chinese government is chasing them down and disappearing them for being lawyers. They have even just brazenly arrested an American lawyer, major slap in the face of the United States, a violation of human rights, which seems like people are trying to normalize. We can't. We shouldn't. This is extremely dangerous, to say the least. If you know someone who is not in the know, if you know someone who is blindly ignorant to the realities of the world that we are living in, send them this video, or even if it's not just this video, an article, whatever I shared in here. Start the discussion. It is more important than ever, as of course our small actions amount to a huge, insurmountable force that is extremely severe and can reverse a lot of this bad stuff. The end is not just near, it is upon us, and it could be reversed by you yourself deciding to take small actions, voting with your dollar, voting with your clicks. Literally, just you taking your mouse pad, double-clicking this link, sharing it with a random person on your timeline, spinning the wheel until you hit someone randomly, means the world to us. And even if it's not this video, any other video that wakes them up to the reality that's not mainstream media garbage is critically important. And because you guys still do this, because you still support me, this is why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.